All right, we're also live on YouTube. Oh, my lighting isn't very good. Oh, well. So the replay will be there on YouTube. Welcome to Wednesday, November 6th. So I'm not someone who's particularly interested in talking about the election. We all know what's going on, I think, to a degree, right? But anyway, really, the what's so hot right now for those of us who are women and we are have been hiding, variations of hiding, quietly, secretly. We very much see ourselves as gods. Um, we're not new to this either. You know, some of us have been hosting high-level spirituality retreats around the world, Egypt, Bali, etc. Some of us have become very conceptually informed by securing PhDs and doing a lot of research and harnessing the power of travel to enhance what we find out through books. Some of us have lived very marginal lives. Thank you for all those hearts. Some of us have really uncovered a lot of the unknown. We've uncovered a lot of what exists in the scary, in the taboo, in the story making that's put in the front to make you fear actually walking through a door to uncover. So some of us have lots of marginal lifestyles, unusual lifestyles. We have lived 20 lives in our life already, 20, 30, 40, 50 lives. We've already lived lots of lives in our current life here on earth. And we're very scattered around the world. Thank you for all the hearts. We're very scattered around the world. I'm also live streaming on YouTube, and the replay is there for anybody who would like to go and watch that when I'm done here. So I'm really talking to what to the masses may seem like a weird person, a niche woman. And in a way, we are niche, right? It's not like we're being talked about on CNN. All right. And still, what I know as being basically everything I just described, I've lived very much a marginal life. I mean, when I realized what was going on here on earth as a teenager, I said, these people are off. Like, this is, mm-mm. And so I checked out of so much of the normal life. And I've lived very much on the fringes of life. Like, I present like a very sophisticated, classy woman because I know most people are making snap decisions when they look at you. We know this, right? Looks matter. People are making snap decisions. So I present like this in part because I actually like it. And also because I know that if I were to come on here, looking like how I might look, walking the streets in some foreign country that's, kind of rubbish and, because I want to feel a different aspect of myself. So I'm not all done up and, I want to drop all of my identity markers that I use to navigate the airport and navigate this and this and that to really land in the place where I am without all of the identifying so heavily with being a Black woman and being all that constricts and prohibits my ability to live. See? And so I've lived this very fringe life. I've been in weird environments where you won't find Black women, where you won't find Black people, where you won't find many people, where there's different languages and different customs and different food and different ways of thinking and different ways that people define family and love and living and God and just really exploring life fully. And I've uncovered so much about the human spirit, about the unconscious mind. I have lived in the real world, feet, dirt, body in the dirt, okay? To know, to really know, to experientially know, not to know because I read something or somebody told me a story or because I read some wonderful book about history and I learned so much about ancient Egypt and what women were like in the 12th century. And girl, I was blown away, but actually terrified and very unexperienced in the real fucking world. Um, and so women who know exactly what I'm talking about, right? We are, uh, a lot of us are living what appear to be normal lives. We may be married. We have degrees. You're right. We could have gone to college with some of you. We're walking around, we might be sitting in the same plane as you, and our inner reality, right? So on the front, we look like normal people. But our inner reality aches and longs for a particular expression in this world. We're constantly called, no matter how much we achieve, and plenty of us achieve a lot, and plenty of us don't. And when I say achieve, I mean achieve what the world calls achievement: marriage, degrees, house, travel, family, the typical kind that the Western world is familiar with, because there are other kinds of family in other parts of the world that look nothing like the Western family. Okay? And these people are tight knit and they care for each other and they are family. And that family does not constitute a man, man, one single woman, and children. Okay? But hey, do what you want. And we can achieve all that. And we look good to you, right? For the normal people who want to have all the normal things. We look good to you. Married, da, 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 da. We've done it. Been around the world, caught the same thing twice. Been there, done that 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Done it, done it, done it, done it. We'll do all the things. And all the while, we're being called to express, to share our true voice, our true thought leadership topics that would be in opposition to dominant thinking, a lot of Western thinking. We have, and this starts from young, getting called to bring forth thought leadership topics that would have us be a voice on the world stage. Even if that world stage has us with 500 listeners. Some of us will have 500 listeners, some of us will have 5 million listeners and more. So many of us have constantly achieved in the normal world. We don't just have one PhD, we have 2 PhDs. We didn't get married one time, we got married 2 times. We divorced him and married the same man again. We went and found some other easily achievable thing that took us and distracted us from the danger zone of our authentic voice, that took us out of the pressure and the responsibility and the high call of our true voice, that started calling us in our 20s and now we 48, that started calling us in our late teens and now we 35. And so I'm hosting this masterclass, as you see the name of the video and what you see on the screen here on TikTok, Unapologetically You Masterclass, is specifically for this woman who I'm talking about now, for the advanced, accomplished godhood woman who ain't new to this feminine power and embodiment thing. This masterclass is not for women who are like, yeah, because I'm sick of my husband, I need my power. A woman who is just, sick of the mundane of her life and she's just looking for something to give her some hope, something she can belong to that gives her a new sensation in her reality. Somebody who's new to the taboo, somebody who's new to power, a woman who's new to pussy work, a woman who's new to truth telling, a woman who's new to being vocal, a woman who's new to being true, a woman who's, I'm new to this. I just found out about this last month or 6 months ago. And I'm just like, wow, that's fine to be in this place because that's the reality of your world. What I'm saying is the Unapologetically You Masterclass is not for you. This masterclass is for those of us who have been hiding in plain sight for years. Those of us who have already been doing high level work publicly or even like smaller hiding ways. So like I said earlier, for women who have already led multiple high level spiritual type retreats around the world, Egypt, Bali, other places in the world. This is for women who have already been working actively in a front facing way, but still playing small and not sharing what she really wants to share. Women who have already walk through a lot of the death gates that are required when a woman is coming into her full feminine power. A woman who has already made a lot of the egoic sacrifices, like giving up the things that she attaches to create the illusion of safety. So she's already faced a lot of that ego death to start to shed attachments that keep her playing small, lying, hiding. This is for that woman. This is for the woman who has multiple PhDs and she uses her PhDs to feel superior to other people and hide behind that superiority in fear to expose her vulnerability, her authentic, full feminine power. This is for the woman who can read you for filth, but won't dare take somebody reading her. This is for the woman who is prophetic, who can see things, who knows the truth, who can heal with her hands. And she's been doing it for a long time in small, hidden ways. Perhaps you've been accepting very little money for it or no money at all. But you've been working at a high level for years. And perhaps family said things to you when you were younger, like, that's the devil's work, you're a witch, that's demonic, when you were engaging in herbal usage and healing through touch, and you were prophetic and you could see through your mother's lies and you could tell her what was coming and she didn't like what you was telling her, and then it proved to be true. And so because of this experience, you brought yourself into a smaller reality. You hypnotized yourself into forgetfulness. So you didn't have as much sight. You couldn't see as well as you could see before. Your answers became, I don't know, when before you knew exactly. Okay? And now you're 35, 45, 55 years old, and you have gotten cancer, you've gone through a divorce, you found yourself in the hospital for weeks, you have found yourself in varying states of depression, you have found yourself overeating, wanting to run and hide, your body is in physical pain because the message wants to come out of you, and you keep trying to push it down. That's who this masterclass is for. This I want y'all to stay over there if you're not ready for your full feminine power. Go watch shit online. There's plenty of women who they're not ready for the real. Guess what? And that's fine too. Do what you want. One of the things that is so important to that we're going to hit at in a deeper way inside of the masterclass, and it's so important, is and the masterclass is going to drop tomorrow, by the way. The registration page is going to be released tomorrow, Thursday. Um, when you are, when you can see at a heightened level, and you also have lots of experience in navigating the spiritual realm, the unseen, and then the physical here, 3D. And you've done lots of like in and out of, right? Like we all come out here into the world and we got to do shit, right? Go to Target, have meetings, go to work, take care of the kids, right? And we know how to deal and get along, right? And then there's the you in retreat, okay? And when you are this woman who's advanced, you're accomplished, you have lots of real world marginal experience. You have lots of working in the taboo in the real world, going into terrains that most women are not going to go in. And you actually work with people or you want to work with people. Let's say you already are working with people, okay? And so you've had a front row seat at people's terror, women's shame, men and women, maybe you work with men too, men and women shame, deep, dark within a human, the innocence in adult people, um, deep desire, what deep repression looks like when it's inverted, when desire is inverted. Like this is what I mean. Like your high level, whether you have admitted it or not. Okay, your high level. Um, and then so when you are advanced in the spiritual arts, and then you succeeded with normal people, right? So you have spiritual grit and skill and resilience, which most people don't respect, right? But you have some kind of respect for, like, and even if you don't, you're compelled that way, clearly, right? So there's a sort of respect that exists over there that normal people don't respect it, but there's a part of you that feels a sense of superiority because you have this connection and this ability over here, okay, in the spiritual realm, and you know how to navigate violence and like shit that most people would look at and be like, that's a problem, that's dangerous, don't do that. You swimming in that shit, okay? So when you're skilled over there and then you're skilled in you're accomplished in 3D, like you got 2 PhDs, you've been married, you got millions, you got assets, you have beautiful, healthy adult children. You know what I mean? You've been doing high level spiritual retreats in Egypt and wonderful shit. The ego gets massive. The ego gets big. And part of it is validated because you are skilled both in 3D and in the spiritual realm. Like you won in both domains, right? The problem is that you're the highness that exists in the spiritual realm, you want to bring that out of your mouth here in the physical realm. You want to bring that into your accomplishments here in the physical realm. You want to bring that into your achievements, into your money, into your impact, into your unapologetic expression here in the 3D. And yet you bump up against the things that we always bump up against, where most people don't respect the spiritual world, right? Most people don't respect um, most people don't respect true highness of humanity, true highness of your way of being, true reverence for the full range of being a human, like especially in the Western world. No, you go to Asia, right? I mean, there's just the respect is there, or like any culture that rejects Western philosophy, you have a greater chance of really getting to explore the underworld, the unknown, without being criticized, shamed, judged. You'll actually have people who are skilled who will come in as like a father or a mother or a spiritual guide. And so what ends up happening is because there's such a large ego, right, that a person could validate it by saying, I'm skilled here and there. Like they can validate it. Okay. And they can see it's easy to feel like you're above everybody and to judge other people, right? So while to you, right, yes, you have all this wonderfulness, there's a way that you harshly judge yourself because only you know that, yes, I'm skilled over here in like this isolated world in a way. And yes, I'm skilled over here in the practical world, but my highness now, my heart now, my soul now is calling for me to bring my excellence over here and bring it to the people over here in the 3D. Because I'm at such war up here with being a PhD, married, mother, educated, hosting high level spiritual retreats in Egypt and around the world and millions and all of that, I'm not fucking with these minions. Now, that might not be a verbal expression, but it's a deep felt sense that I'm above this. I'm above normal bitches. I'm above all of this that's going on. When at the soul level, at the heart level, you long very much for your voice, for your impact to reach the normal bitches, the basic bitches, the bitches who haven't achieved what you've achieved. Okay. And so you will hang out for a long time behind this superiority while it's at the same time choking you. It's choking your voice. It's choking the high call. Because once you've achieved all this other stuff, like I said in my newsletter, or somewhere I wrote this, I said, the top of one mountain is the bottom of another. Y'all heard that quote from that older black man in Hollywood? The top of one mountain is the bottom of another, right? You reach that goal and it's like, okay, where am I going now? And then you off to the next one. And it's like, okay, so after you reach that, then where am I going now? And once you been around the world and and I mean that experientially. I mean, after you do all things that the normal world says is going to bring you love, attention, happiness, and you get there, you realize whatever you realize for you. And what often becomes the case is you realize it's just another spot in life, you know, that you may or may not want to stay in because you don't know until you get there. You might think you want it, and maybe you do, but you don't really find out until you get there that, oh, yeah, I want to hang out. Like, I see this being for me for the rest of my life. And how many times have you gotten somewhere and you like, I mean, this is cool, but, right? The call for this woman who I'm talking about, specifically for this woman. So if you don't get what I'm talking about, obviously you're not that woman. Okay. This woman specifically who I'm talking about, she will definitely not be satisfied. She might fake it. She might smile and do all the front-facing things that appear like success, but she's not satisfied. And she's going to create, at an unconscious level, drama in her life. And it's going to show. Divorce papers out of the blue, body in pain, she'll get sick, she'll go on trips to do some sort of soul searching when she already knows what's going on. And that's another one of the ways that we try to deviate because there's such a war up here, which is totally understandable. I've been there my own way. Okay. There's such a war with, in order for me to be in this spacious bottom, if you will, okay? Because there's a howling out of all this egoic buildup that you've built up over the years coming into all of your accomplishments. There's been a buildup of an identity of who you are that you then become attached to. And like so much of your sustenance and meaning in life is based on how you identify as a 2 PhD millionaire, right? So when you're all wrapped up in that, you're full of that, and there's no space for the soul you to then come up and develop in a working relationship with a high level mentor like me over time, so that then you're a channel for your soul voice to come out of your mouth in your TED Talks and your YouTube video and your high level courses and your retreats all over the world. that can't funnel through because you're so puffed up with all the ego identification and needing to be this important thing that's better than these other people. And then who will you be without that? Who are you without that? Coming onto a TED Talk stage naked. There's no announcement of your PhDs. There's no announcement of you having this and that and having done this and that. What's coming out of your mouth? Who are you being? Who is your message for? What do you know is for you to do and be before you turn 50? Before you turn 60? Before you die? What's the message? And another question, you've been called for 20 years, and somehow you've found different ways to deviate, go get another degree, go have another child, go do another project, go do another webinar, go do another, to keep yourself busy and wrapped up into something and not doing the real thing. That's been the reality for you for a long time. What's different now? What's necessary now? Have you placed yourself in your deathbed? No, really. I mean this literally. Because when you get up into your 40s, you can look back. You can see very different than somebody who's 25 and looking back. Okay. You can start to look at the last 5 years of your life, and then the last 10 years, and then the last 25 years of your life. You know, what you were doing 3 Christmases ago, what your world looked like 12 years ago, and then looking at what you've always been called to do, deeply pulled and called to do, and then the conversations you had with yourself quietly that nobody knew about, and then the decision you made in that quiet conversation, and then sitting in the reality today as a result of the decision that you made then, and you know the decision that you made then was not the decision from your high self. So when you can see like that and continuing that pattern, and then you project yourself into your deathbed, which we don't know when that'll be, but let's project yourself continuing along that pattern of engaging in smaller projects that just grab and hold your attention, but don't take you where you really know you're called to go. And even if when you're doing this soulful work, sometimes it's not absolutely clear. You just know that this is the message, and that message is going to take you the next 50 steps. And your job is to say yes to being the woman who can hollow out and bring that message out of your mouth into your TED Talk, your retreats, your messaging. So if you can look back over the last 17 years of your life, and you can see where every 3 years or every year you find a way to divert, right? And you see where it's gotten you now. And where you are now, you have achievements, very worldly achievements that are, when you're talking to the average person, you look amazing, right? And you keep eating and feasting on that. All the ego thrill of, like, because how many people have 2 PhDs? Oh my God, you get to go around people and be so much better than them, right? How many people are hosting spirituality retreats in Egypt? Me, that's who. So you get to live on that at an ego level for a long time, right? And as you get older, something about aging really starts to sober folks. Yeah, it's just something about aging. It just starts to sober people. Y'all know what I'm talking about for those of you who do. You just sitting up, or you driving, or some shit didn't hit the fan in your life. It's basically your soul talking to you, your unconscious coming to light, some kind of shit's happened, people start dying in your family. And you can look and see, well, it's been me making these decisions all the way. So then when you look at yourself continuing that behavior onto your deathbed and you visualize and you see yourself there, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? How do you feel knowing what you know about yourself? And this is not stuff we typically talk out loud about, even with what we call our close friends. Because I know that this woman who I'm talking to, some of us have close friends who don't really know who you are. And they don't have the capacity to see and hold you as you blossom into who you really are, your fullness, as you navigate the darker, unknown, undesirable aspects of yourself deeper and deeper and deeper. And you've never experienced yourself at this depth before. You've had glimpses, but you want it to be the default now. You don't want it to be this thing that you get a fleeting glimpse of once a month. You want it to be your everyday reality, that you're living from your laughing, fluid, open, erotic, full self that can speak purely in your messaging, that can say what you really mean, that can be in relationship with people who want that for you, who are even willing to develop to be in this kind of relationship with you. That's the addition you are to their life, and vice versa. This is why I say this masterclass is really for this woman, because we are it. We are it. We just have not had the environment to develop. We haven't had women who truly have the capacity, especially melanin dominant women who truly have this capacity. This is incredibly rare, incredibly rare. This world is never going to become what it can be. It's never going to become what it can be as long as the unconscious of humanity does not have a chance to come out in an adult way. See, right now, humanity's unconscious plays out in sloppy, lacking responsibility, projection, war, just the things that we see, the things that are going on right now. And everybody just sort of adjusts to it as much as they can, right? And that's just the norm. And it's been this way long before you and I got here, and it will continue this way. In the environments that I create, there's a real deliberateness about bringing forth your depth. That we're not, uh, you know, making sure you don't deviate outside of this version of you. And I mean this, we're starting with the masterclass, but I mean beyond online and going to offline. Like, I really look forward to having conversations with you all, existing with you in person, and really having these forward conversations, because it is so necessary. It is so incredibly necessary to be able to coexist with melanin dominant women who get to live the fullness of themselves in your presence and vice versa. Explore. And in order for that to happen, there are conversations and coherence that need to happen. What do I mean? So right now it's me talking, you're listening, right? And then there's a two-way conversation, which could happen anywhere, phone, Zoom, right? But then there's also the felt sense of congruency. okay, and coherence. And that is where the two people, three, five people, however many people are in the conversation, are coherent in what's going on. And there's an agreement with both your conscious and your unconscious mind. You ever be in conversation with somebody where they're saying one thing, but you could feel that there's a part of them that's not really in agreement with what they're saying, right? But then you ever be in a room where you can just feel that we're in this. It could be 10 people in a room, it could be 50 people in a room, it could be just two people, but you could feel that all the people in the room are in this. There's an unspoken connection in the room. First of all, that's a limbic thing, by the way. We all have a limbic system. That's a very limbic thing when we're all connected at this level, okay, where it's unspoken, but we all have a deep felt sense about it. In the Western world, anyway, I'm not going to even get into that. But in order, the direction for us, and again, this is rare, like this exists in the domain of love. And while we love to talk about being loving things, most of us, when we're actually faced with love, we destroy it, we sabotage it, we run from it, we project our fears onto it. So there's a real tenderness, there's a real maturity, and ownership. Again, that's why this is so rare. It's why I'm really delineating the woman who I'm talking to, because when you already have been working in the realm of the taboo, when you've already ruined good relationships because of your own ego, you've done a lot of honest self-reflection, and you can look at how you have been the problem and all this shit that you've created running all fucking around, um, saying you want love, or that you're powerful, or all of this, but every opportunity or door for you to actually exist in a way that will require you to be humble, to be vulnerable, to empty out all of your identifications, even your identification with being a powerful being. Get rid of it. Your identification with being a Black woman, get rid of it. Your identification with being an artist, get rid of it. There's a nakedness that's required. So all of your identifications, your identification with being a mother, your identification with being a PhD woman, your identification with being all the things that you think of yourself, drop it at the door. Come in naked and allow yourself to be open to this vastness, this experience of being an open, feminine, true vessel, where you allow yourself to be seen through. You see through others. And again, this is where that coherence comes in. And this is a deeply felt feminine process. I'm telling you. And I'm not saying they don't exist in the world, but it is incredibly rare for a melanin dominant woman to have the privilege, the honor, the opportunity to get naked in a space and meet herself truly, and to have her deeper selves be welcome by a motherfucker who want to see it, who can see it, who can revere that, who can be with her as she's navigating parts of herself that she's never even experienced. How do you expect yourself to truly illuminate, to truly get to know what is this? How do you think this works? I don't know. Are you actively thinking about, for those of you who have a voice, who I've been describing here in this live stream, the unapologetic you, those of you who are very clear that you have a distinct message to bring forward, you have distinct work to do, you have been called for years or for decades, you have run from that message for years or for decades, and it has cost you. You have been paying for that. You have paid through that by being sick in the body, being in pain in the body, ending up in the hospital, your husband giving you divorce papers out of the blue, you falling into depression, things crumbling around you, and all the messaging is, especially if you're here under the sound of my voice. This is the way for us. This is it. And there's so much that I have not been talking about publicly, because it's like, if you're going to be one of the women who stays out there, then you're not ready for the deeper conversation. If you're one of the women who want to stay watching content, you want to stay on YouTube, you want to stay looking at a TikTok live, You belong there. You don't belong in the conversations that we're having behind the scenes that are of a high level, that require an actual maturation through the process. That would have us being able to physically coexist in a way where we bring forth magic through our beings and we produce real world results that are life changing for the collective. Minus all the imagery that you've seen of other people and what they got going on. Because when you hollow out with all of the things, this tight ways you identify with your reality, and the soul of you, the true soul of you wakes up, and the heart and the coherence of the two that you invite through what you say out of your mouth, that you invite through what you think, that you invite through what you look at constantly, think about constantly, emote about constantly, and you call that through your being. And you come across opportunities to say yes. You say yes, it matures you. You say no, you lock yourself in deeper. Right? You say yes, it expands you. You say no, it locks you in deeper. And obviously that's depending on what the thing is, the yes or no to. And when that coherence is there, with your heart and your soul, and it's not even something you got to wonder about, it always shows itself. This is what I'm creating. And these are the conversations that are going to be had inside of the Unapologetic Masterclass on a degree. And then for those of you who go beyond the Unapologetic Master class, it goes even further. And then when we meet in person, it goes even further. I'm happy to take questions. Again, details of the masterclass along with the registration page drops tomorrow, Thursday. Okay. And it's going to be sent out to my email list. So if you, and again, keep in mind, this is for the woman who's described here on the screen. If you're not her, advanced, experientially advanced, okay? And when I say advanced, I'm not even talking about degrees. I'm not talking about real world advanced. And that's part of it, right? If that's part of your advance, that's actually what I'm saying is worldly, okay? It's not the primary marker, is what I'm saying, for achievement. Thank you for sharing the live, Keys. So again, it'll drop to the email list. If you're not already on my email list and you'd like to be, go to the link in my bio and you can sign up for my Erotic Path newsletter. And that'll put you on my email list so you get details to come to the Unapologetically You Masterclass. Details drop tomorrow. Any questions? You got 30 seconds. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you for all the hearts. Okay. Bye, YouTube. Y'all take good care of yourself.